Welcome back to Devil in a Small Town. In our last episode, we uncovered the intricate web of deceit surrounding the disappearance of Julia Crawford. Now, in this episode, we'll explore the twists and turns that investigation takes as the secrets come to light. The town is buzzing with speculation and unease as revelations of Julia's hidden life continue to pour in. Every new detail seems to introduce more questions than answers. After cross-referencing Mr. Crawford's business contacts, they located Marcus. Mr. Marcus Lawson. His official business records show that he's a legal consultant, but appears that most of his assets are tied up in real estate just outside of the city. All of his listed properties are residential and have existing tenants. However, one house is empty and has never been listed on the market since he purchased it 15 years ago. The county records show that permits were required to renovate the basement, but there are no blueprints. They decided to go poke around this property and see if anything turns up. Detective Bowen and his team arrive at the property, and from the outside, it looked like it was one gust of wind away from collapsing. But after walking around to the backyard, they found cellar doors that looked to be fairly new in comparison to the rest of the house. The doors were locked, but one of the investigators noticed a small window where the house meets the ground. He peeked inside just in time to see a young girl walking with a middle-aged man towards the cellar doors. They all hid in bushes and overheard them talking. The girl said she's so excited to attend her first meeting on Saturday night. She said the induction ceremony sounds like an experience that she'll never forget. Then she said something that rang in their ears. She said, "I'm so thankful that you found me, Marcus. I didn't have anywhere to go. It's like fate that we met." Marcus replied that she would have loved their former recruiter. He said that Julia had always had a way of connecting with the new members. Detective Bowen had found Marcus, his mysterious property that seemed to be the home base of the suspicious activities, and a clue about Julia's involvement. He learned that Miss Crawford was involved with the recruiting new members to the cult. This adds another layer of complexity to the case. As the detective and his team chase down this new lead, they uncover a series of shocking twists and unexpected connections, some of which no one could have anticipated. Meanwhile, the town remains divided as residents grapple with the changing perceptions of Julia Crawford. Detective Bowen faces mounting pressure to piece together the elements of the case, hoping to bring clarity and closure to the town. With every revelation, the investigation takes an unexpected turn, leaving the town to wonder how deep the mystery really goes. The investigation has now reached a critical point. The town is gripped with anticipation and anxiety as the web of secrets surrounding Julia Crawford continues to unravel. Detective Bowen has tracked down Julia's ex-husband Richard Crawford, which led to the discovery of Marcus Lawson and his secret property. He and his team overheard a conversation between Marcus and a young girl about an induction ceremony that's set to happen that Saturday night. That same conversation tipped them off that Julia was in fact involved. There are still missing pieces, but the puzzle of the disappearance of Julia Crawford is starting to come together. Bowen tells himself that they can't afford to lose focus, that time is working against them. With each revelation, the sense of urgency grows. The detective and his team realize that the key to solving the case might be buried deep within the rapidly unfolding events. As the detective pursues leads and uncovers new evidence, the town's residents find themselves on edge, aware that time is running out for Julia. That afternoon, Detective Bowen was slowly sipping a fresh cup of coffee when the urge to revisit Marcus Lawson's property struck. He and one of his investigators decided to drive back out to New York and take a second look around. This time, the house was empty, but one of the cellar doors was slightly ajar. Upon a closer look, they noticed that a small twig had prevented the door from closing all the way. They decided to act on this lucky break. Jack's investigators said that he'd stay back and keep watch while Bowen took a deeper look. As Detective Bowen slowly descends the stairs, he starts to hear faint music. Not a hip new song on the local pop station, though. It was more of a chant with an ominous tone. He followed the sounds down a long hallway that seemed to slant deeper and deeper underground. As he arrived at the source of the sound, he saw a room with a table in the middle, surrounded by people in long black robes. On the table, he saw a girl that looked to be about 16 or 17 years old. Suddenly, Bowen saw one of the people in the long black robes raise up their arms, and he noticed, gripped firmly in both hands, was what looked to be a ceremonial dagger. In his mind, he knew he had to save this girl. They hadn't seen him in the shadows yet, so he had the element of surprise. As he stood and unclipped his firearm, he was about to jump out of the shadows when he realized the girl on the table was just a dummy. He thought to himself that he had almost blew the investigation and got caught. He watched as the robed figure lowered their arms in a stabbing motion, pretending to stab the dummy, followed by the rest of them passing a goblet around the circle and pretending to take drinks from it. Soon they all went up a winding staircase, and Detective Bowen was left alone in the room. He took the opportunity to make a quick pass through the room to look for clues. He took note of how things were positioned and took several pictures to share with his team. And as he was walking out, he saw a small white triangle on the ground near a bookcase. After he bent down to get it, he noticed it wasn't a triangle. Instead, it was the corner of a folded up piece of paper. He heard faint voices and realized someone was coming back down the stairs, so he quickly grabbed the paper and headed out of the house. He needed to make sure his partner didn't get caught, and they needed to get back to the station to investigate this paper. On the way back to the station, Detective Bowen opened the folded paper, and at the very top in bold red letters it said, "Potential Recruits," with a list of names below it. While staring at the list of names, Jack's investigator notices writing on the back of the paper. The investigation intensifies as each day passes. The mystery deepens. In the next episode, we'll continue to follow the detective's relentless pursuit of answers and a new revelation in the case. This is Devil in a Small Town.